poet, and more, who walked fearlessly during a time of turmoil in America, was summoned by a Quaker compassion within to secure the natural rights of mankind without distinction. John Greenleaf Whittier, editor, politician, abolitionist, poet. John Greenleaf Whittier was born in 1807, just 32 years after the American Revolution and 20 years since the Constitution was written. Thomas Jefferson, a slaveholder, was the President of the United States. Also at the time of Mr. Whittier's birth, we were a nation of farmers, with over 75% of the population involved in agrarian pursuits. We were also a nation of slaveholders. In 1810, there were 27,000 slaves in the North, or as the South called us, free states. Whittier was a descendant of the Thomas Whittier family, of Huguenot descent, but of English training. He sailed from Southampton in 1638 and settled first in Salisbury, now Amesbury, on the Powwow River, the poet's swift powwow. Later, he built the house in Haverhill, married Ruth Flint, who had come over with him on a packet ship, and with her had 10 children. Thomas Whittier was a leading citizen of Haverhill. John Greenleaf Whittier was a birthright friend, meaning that his membership came from being born to Quaker parents. He never had to be confirmed or christened. Although he was discriminated against as a Quaker, he was taught and saw by example that all people were equal, and that core principle was within him his entire life. One cannot underestimate the importance of the Quaker teachings and faith in the life of Whittier. It was the keystone of his greatness and his life. Whittier was shy with a painful shyness that lasted his entire life. Self-taught, consciousness of his intellectual power came to him early. He was, quote, too caution-trained, unquote, by Quaker breeding. Poverty had taught him respect and sympathy for the poor. Persecution of the Quakers taught him firsthand about discrimination. The Whittiers were taciturn, self-respecting landowners, so used to quiet independence that it never occurred to them to brag of it. In Whittier's words, quote, "My father was an old-fashioned Democrat and really believed in the preamble of the Bill of Rights, which reaffirmed the Declaration of Independence. His mother was his teacher, Bible lessons and reading. The farm supported 4 adults, Whittier's parents, John and Abigail Hussey Whittier, his Aunt Mercy Hussey, and his Uncle Moses Whittier, and 4 children, Mary, John, Elizabeth, and Matthew. It was owned jointly by his father John and his Uncle Moses, who had mortgaged the farm to buy out the other heirs. Life on the farm was a life of isolation. In the poem Snowbound, Whittier describes this feeling of solitude.
All day the gusty north wind bore the loosening drift its breath before. Low circling round its southern zone, the sun through dazzling snow mist shone. No church bell lent its Christian tone to the savage air. No social smoke curled over woods of snow-hung oak. A solitude made more intense by dreary-voiced elements, the shrieking of the mindless wind, the moaning tree boughs swaying blind, and on the glass the unmeaning beat of ghostly fingertips of sleet.
Through his mother's training and her actions, the greatest motivating force in Whittier's life was his Quaker religious faith. He was as broad in his religious thinking as he was devout, a rare combination in any era. In the poem Barefoot Boy, Whittier wrote about himself and how he was nurtured by family and farm life.
Blessings on thee, little man, barefoot boy with cheek of tan, with thy turned-up pantaloons and thy merry whistled tunes, with thy red lip redder still, kissed by strawberries on the hill, with the sunshine on thy face through thy torn brim's jaunty grace. From my heart I give thee joy. I was once a barefoot boy.
Whittier took his share of the farm duties, indeed too great a share, he afterward found, for his health. He was slender and delicate, and suffered lifelong injury by attempting tasks beyond his strength. It would seem a healthy and invigorating boyhood, but all his life he was a recognized invalid. The barn had no doors, as Whittier testified. The winter winds whistled through, and snow drifted on its floors. He milked 7 cows and tended a horse, 2 oxen, and some sheep. As he described his early work, quote, stumbling over the rough hassocks and sinking knee-deep in black mire, raking the sharp, sickle-edged grass,